If you're running Facebook ad campaign, if you're running Google ad campaign and you're using voice agents, one of the things that you're going to encounter is that a lot of those people that you're calling using your voice agent won't always be free. In my experience, it's roughly around 20 to 30% of those calls. And as you start to scale these campaigns, these callbacks can add up. And the whole point of voice agents is really to save companies time. It's supposed to handle those tedious tasks of qualifying the prospect and booking them into meetings. But if 30% of your leads are requesting callbacks, that can add up to a lot more work, a lot more of your time. And let's be honest, there's probably some that are slipping through the cracks. So what we set up for one of our clients is a callback functionality so that we could log these calls into the future. So let's say I want to be called back tomorrow at 2 p.m. or I want to be called back in an hour. We've now built an AI that's smart enough to schedule these tasks into the future. Because typically what happens is, prospects are going to answer or not answer. For those that don't answer, we're just going to toss them into an automated follow-up sequence and they'll just continue to get called until they pick up. Or we'll switch to an SMS agent and do the exact same thing. For those that do answer though, typically it comes down to either they answer, they have the time and we qualify them. And if they are qualified, we book them into an appointment. If they are not available though, and they're busy for whatever reason, they'll ask for a callback. And so the way we've handled it is we've built two really simple automations. The first one is just creating a record in Airtable. And then once that record is created in Airtable, we will wait until the requested callback time. And from there, we'll trigger an outbound call, which will call them back at the requested time and pretty much run through the same loop of back at the top where they'll answer. If they do answer, we schedule that callback. If they don't answer, they go back into that automated follow-up sequence and hopefully they are available at that time and we'll go ahead and qualify them. And so it's a very simple, as you can see here, like guys, these are literally 1-shots and 2-shot automations. It's extremely simple to do this, but the power behind it is pretty incredible. So in today's video, we're going to be building that out from scratch. Now, all of these automations that you see right here, they're going to be available completely for free in the No Code Nation. We actually just cracked into the top 250 tech communities in the world. We're continuing to grow. There's a ton of active members and it's a really great place to learn. So I look forward to seeing you in there. And if you are a business running outbound campaigns right now and you're looking to implement some much more advanced voice agent solutions that will allow you to continue to scale, feel free to book into a call below and we'll see if we're a good fit to work together. That being said, let's dive into this and how we can set this up from scratch. All right, guys, so let's build this table out from scratch. We're going to name it the callbacks table. And so what are we going to need? Well, we're going to need the phone number of the user. And I like to just use long text or single line text. And the reason for that is because if I put in a phone number, you'll see that we'll lose the +1 at the front. So by keeping it as a single line text or a long line text, we keep the plus extension at the front when we go and make that call again. Let's save this. We can set to callback time. We're going to find the date and we're going to include the time. You can even display the time zone. We'll hit save. Next up, we're going to add in this ready to post. This is going to actually be a formula. And this is what's going to be placing that actual call. So we're going to be saying like, hey, if the callback time is equal to blank, we're going to give it a 0. Otherwise, if the current time is greater than or equal to the callback time, we're going to make this change to 1. And when this changes to 1, we're going to set up an automation in here. So we'll go and add a trigger when record matches conditioned. That's going to place that webhook. So we'll find our table. I'm going to say when ready to post is equal to 1. We are going to run a script. And so same thing here. We're essentially just saying this is going to be your webhook right here, record ID. We're going to add it as an input variable right now. So we could just call this record ID. And then the value you're going to choose is going to be Airtable record ID. Action is going to be callback. Okay, so now we'll go create that webhook. So we'll hop into N8N. Let's create a new workflow. We're going to be calling this one callbacks. And we'll grab this webhook call, just make it straight production. It's going to be a post request. So copy that production post, hop into your callback table. And then where I put in webhook, we're just going to paste that in just like that. Perfect. We can hit finish editing. We could name this something like place callback. Just go ahead, turn it on. Okay, perfect. So now when you think like, okay, what other information do we need when we're placing the callback? And that really depends on what information do you need when you're having this call. I mean, every call is different. Outbound calls, sometimes you need past dynamic variables. Depends where they're coming in from too. Typically, if they're coming from a Facebook lead form, they're going to have some simple information filled out about your niche. Let's say you're in the contractor space. It might be, what kind of water heater do you have? Or what is the date of your installation that you're looking for? Or who knows, right? There's a bunch of different potential variables that you can place in here. For demonstration purposes right now, we're going to keep things super simple. I also like to always change this just to ID. Helps with debugging later, and set it to an auto number. And then we're going to add in name or even first name, and it's going to be a single line text. We'll create that field and then drop it in right here. And so this will just really be able to demonstrate how you can do callbacks. So it's going to fire this webhook. And then the next thing we need to do is an HTTP request, which is going to be placing that call. So we're using the create phone call endpoint. Same thing. It's going to be a post. We're going to need authorization, bearer, your API key, and then content type application JSON in the headers. So turn on headers, drop your API key in there. Then we're going to add in a second parameter, which is going to be content type application JSON. Okay, so what's required in the body? Well, we need the from number, the to number. You can also drop in an override agent ID. So if you want to choose specific agent ID, and then if you're passing any retail dynamic variables, such as the customer name. So for this case, we'll keep it simple. We'll just include the from, the to number, and the override agent ID. So the from number is going to be your number in retail that you're going to be using to make that outbound call. The to number is going to be the receiving number. And then we're going to need to create a simple agent. So typically, if you're building out a more advanced agent, you're going to want this to be a multi-prompt agent. And that way you can have outbound call is placed. And typically the opening sentence will be like, hey, Kevin, just saw you filled out our form on Facebook. Do you have a moment to talk? And they're either going to say yes or no. If they say no, we're going to transition to that callback state. And in that state, we're going to get all of the requirements, such as the time of the call and everything else. So in this case, we're going to keep it really simple. It's going to be a single prompt agent for this example. Okay, so really simple, literally just for this run the callback tool. We're essentially saying hey, is now a good time to talk? Hey, is now a good time to chat? If the agent responds yes, proceed with the conversation. Otherwise, run the callback tool. We'll begin with our define message, which is, hey, is now a good time to chat. Super simple. Now we're going to be creating that function, which is going to be a custom function. So essentially we need one to log it in our Airtable, and we need another one when this ready to post switches to 1 to trigger this automation. So this is our callback, outbound callback demo one, and then we're going to have a second one. Okay, so that's our first one. Let's go ahead, create a second automation here. This one is going to be schedule callback. Same thing. It's going to be on webhook call, post request, put it in production, copy that URL. Now head back to our agent. This is where you're going to put it in right here. Our tool name is callback, and the description is going to be use this tool to schedule callbacks. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm copying this parameter because this is the JSON schema that it defines the format in which the LLM will return. We're going to take that and we're going to essentially output in ISO 8601 format because that is I think it should be the time that will enter into this calendar properly. You can see here, this is what GPT output. So the preferred callback time in ISO 8601 format. Here's an example. Required time, callback time. Perfect. Well, hit save. Now to output like that. And we're also going to give it the current time. Okay, so I added in this one line right here that's saying capture the preferred time, knowing for reference that the current time is current time America, New York, and run the callback tool to schedule it. So there we go. So now that works. It should go ahead and schedule it in Airtable. So now we need to find Airtable, right? Create a record. Now go ahead, connect your Airtable access token right here. You just click create new credential. You just click on open docs if you want to figure out how you can do this. It's very simple. You just get your access token and plug it in there. So we're going to find our base, choose our table, and then I'm not passing the first name, but we will be passing the phone number and the callback time. So now we need to get some information in here. So we're going to come in here. We're going to listen for a test event, copy this HTTP test event and put it in here, hit update. Now we'll test this, right? Can we do tomorrow at 2 p.m.? No, it's not. Actually, I'm at the grocery store. Could you do tomorrow at 2 p.m.? Okay, so I said tomorrow at 2 p.m. Now it understood that that's tomorrow at 2 p.m. Schedule a call. Really, we just got input into here. So you can see here, we got the callback time, which is what we are going to need. Now we will actually have to call it because it's the only way that we'll get you see at the top here, this is a web call. So in order for us to get that variable in here, of the phone number, we will have to place a phone call. So we're going to do the same thing, listen for test event, and then we're just going to call our agent.
Is now a good time to chat?
No, it's not.
No problem. When would be a better time for us to chat?
Could we do tomorrow at 2 p.m.? All right, awesome. So now you can see we got the from number. We also got the callback time. That's exactly what we need here, guys. So now we're going to go ahead and just pin this data. And now in the next step, we're going to put in the phone number and the callback time. We can test this step just to make sure that it works. Boom. Now, if we go to our table, we can see that this call has now been successfully scheduled for tomorrow at 2 p.m. So that's part one of this, which is our schedule callback tool. Now, when it comes time to actually placing, so when this turns to 1, same thing here. We're going to listen for a test event because we're going to trigger it manually. So come into your automations under run a script. And we're just going to swap out this code or this webhook for just a second so we can test it. Hit finish editing, update. Now in data, we're going to change this time to today at 10 a.m. so that this triggers. And now we can test this action, choose that record, and now it's going to hit this endpoint right here. There we go. So I actually had to change it to a GET request. So just go ahead and make that small little change. And now you can see in here, we got the record and we got the action. So before we can place that call, we need to get that record. So Airtable, get a record. And now we're going to choose that same table, drop in that record ID, just like that. We can hit test step. There you go. We now have the callback time. We have the phone number. And now in our outbound request, in the to field, we're going to paste in that phone number. Now we can hit test this step. And we also need the override agent ID. I forgot to include that. So drop that in there, and then you'll need the value of that agent. So copy that agent, drop it in here. Now we'll test the step again. There you go. Call. And in a second, we get a phone call.
Hey, is now a good time to chat?
And that agent has now made a callback. So now you can schedule callbacks for whenever you want. So this is just a super simple functionality, but it explains the power behind callbacks because in my experience, there are a lot of calls that end up being callbacks. And it just takes a little bit of the load off of your team having to go and place those repetitive outbound calls. With this, you can place as many callbacks, schedule as many callbacks as you want. So hope you got massive value out of this. All of these automations going to be for free in the school. In No Code Nation, we're at 1.1K members now. We actually just cracked into the top 250 tech communities in the world. So would love to see you guys join. We have 63% active members month over month, and we're continuing to grow. Looking forward to seeing you contribute. And with that being said, I'll catch you on the next video. Have a wonderful day. Peace.